something that I personally cannot do. There may be something that I can do as a guest somewhere else that I cannot do as a pastor. But it needs to be done among the people that I pastor. And I want to set the stage for him so that he can do a good job. But I don't want him getting in my pulpit and punching me in the nose in front of my people. I've got to live with those people. And so we need to show respect for each other, delegating authority, supporting each other, and helping to do the name of the Lord. In the matter of missions, when you go on the mission field, whether it be home missions or foreign missions, but in particularly foreign missions, and you're working together 2 by 2, and being blessed of the Lord, and you respect each other, there needs to be a job description. And we need to be careful to stay within the boundaries of what we're supposed to be doing. That way it brings peace and harmony to the work of God. Everyone has a place in the work. I want to bring you another bit of wisdom in doing the work of the Lord. Now this may be a little controversial, but I am personally convinced to this. Jesus said, I have chosen you and ordained you that you should go and bring forth fruit, that your fruit should remain. In John 15 and 16, we're not only to be the church universal, but the church triumphant. Now I'm aware that there is a period of time that we must learn, but there is also a time when we should have learned and ready to do the work of the Lord, especially when the church is deeply involved in financing your mission work. If you go into a new mission to a city, into a state, or you go into a nation to do pioneer work, there comes a time when there should be that production. Jesus said in John chapter 17 and verse 20, neither pray I for these alone, but for them also which shall believe on me through their word. If you are indeed in the will of God, eventually you're going to produce some results. And especially when missions are involving $50,000 to $100,000 of dollars a year in your ministry, in my ministry, sooner or later there comes a time when I have to produce. I have to produce something, or I have to accept the concept, or I have to accept the fact that maybe I am out of the will of God. Maybe I cannot do the job. That doesn't mean that I'm not a Christian. That doesn't mean that I'm not a good person. That doesn't mean that I'm not a precious person and a great person. But it does mean that I am not getting the job done in that area. Jesus spoke about the branches and the vine, that he was the vine and that we are the branches. And it is the branches that is to produce the fruit. And when it comes to a place where a branch is just dead and unproducing, the smart farmer, the smart harvester is going to cut that branch off. He's going to prune that branch. The purpose of the resources of that vine is not to endlessly feed into a dead branch that doesn't produce fruit. But the husbandman of the vineyard is going to cut that branch off and give place for another branch. Now this is what I'm saying. And that is that it's very possible to go to the mission field and go into a new country and not produce a big church within a one term's time of 4 years. And I'm not suggesting that we change a mission or bring someone home in a 4 year time. But when someone has been there the second term and they're still pastoring 10 or 15 people in one single church, and in 8 years' time they have not produced a native pastor to take care of that work that they have brought in, however small it is, my opinion is they never will. And it is an absolute waste of resources to continue to support someone like that. That doesn't mean they're not good people. That doesn't mean that they're not good Christians. But they either need to be brought home, or they need to be placed in another field, in some place that is more fertile or more suitable to their ministry. Jesus didn't just call us to be the church universal, but he called us to be the church triumphant. And sooner or later, we need to have some victory or admit that we can't do the job, or that we are in the wrong place. These people that go out to do mission work, even home mission work, and they stay for year after year after year after year after year after year producing nothing. Hey, wake up, Johnny. You're in the wrong place. Quit being so stubborn. That's not being loyal. That's not being determined. That's being downright stubborn. And you need to reconsider the situation that you're in and reevaluate the will of God. There's sometimes people out in mission work that can't get to first base. But if they was on another man's platform as an assistant to help, they would be extremely profitable. And there's times that we need to reevaluate what we're doing when it goes year after year after year and we're not producing. Jesus said, they shall hear you. They shall be converted by you. And if there's no, I'm not talking about just the beginning, not just a start, but after a long, long time, it's time to reevaluate. I remember one certain man who was very, very dear and precious to me. He went to a certain mission, and at first the mission seemed to flourish. Then he got into a extensive building program, ended up practically building the building with his own hands, and he was a workhorse. That guy, that brother was a workhorse. He would just, he would work 10, 15, 16 hours every day, 7 days a week. Such a hard worker, making his own living and endeavoring to build this church at the same time. Well, that church kind of went down, and and when they got into the beautiful new building, it run about 40 or 50, and he just could not raise it above that. And I remember I talked to him. I feel like you're out of the will of God. You're not in the will of God here. You're out of place here. You're not in the will of God. But he was a loyal type person. He was not a quitter. Thank God for people who are not quitters and just give up because a task is difficult. But he held on and held on and held on and held on for 15 years, and things did not improve. But finally, he was persuaded to move. And he moved into a new, more fertile area, and today, just in a few years, just a very few years, he has produced one of the best churches we've got in the United Pentecostal Church, running approximately 500 or 600 people consistently, and has been mightily used of God because he was not in the right place. And finally, when he got in the right place, he was greatly used of the Lord. So there are times when we need to reevaluate a foreign missions program. Now, I'm just one member speaking for myself, and the rest of the board members may not agree with me, but this is something I'm going to be talking about. We cannot afford to keep putting $100,000 a year in a man that's been in a place for 10 years and still pastoring one single little church with 15 members. We can't do it. And we need to come to that revelation. Maybe you're in the wrong place. Maybe in the wrong place. And I trust that I'm not offending someone. I know it's a controversial idea, but it's something we need to think about.